mind, you just talked about trauma, mental health. Do you mind if I talk very quickly about
No. I mean, I'm on your schedule, and you said you wanted,
yeah.
about an hour, but I can go over.
So for the benefit of those who don't know me, and actually a lot of people do know me and don't know, what some things that I've been through. Aside from combat and all, and anyone, General Nella, Commandant of the Marine Corps, words it very well. I remember him telling me one time, look, no one goes through combat and remains unchanged. If you are unchanged, then something was wrong with you before, because I was kind of trying to, he was a division commander then, I was a battalion commander. And he made a comment, if you know General Nella, I love the guy. But he can appear quite harsh at times. And I was sidestepping questions about how I was doing personally. And he came back with a really good answer that I've used since then. No one goes through combat and remains unchanged. And how you deal with those changes is up to you. But the other piece says, I lost my daughter to a traffic. She's knocked down by a truck riding her bicycle. It happened a few months before deploying to Iraq for my final deployment as commander of the Siege of Sotif. I lost my sister to suicide. Still something I find really difficult to talk about. I was going through a very painful divorce at the same time, plus COVID. So I was in a very, very bad space. I'm not saying, I'm not telling you, oh, I was about to end my life. No, because through it all, my kids, my responsibility towards my kids was very important. And so I couldn't, there was never a point where I thought about ending my life. But I was I can tell you, I just can't imagine being in a darker space. That's the only way I've never been reduced to the point where I'm just going through the functions of living. And,
right.
and that seemed like a win to me, just getting up.
Yeah, not having anything to look forward to, just day to day.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to PT or,
Yep.
And I was, I've had great support from the VA on physical stuff. Really good. I will sing their praises all day. On the psychological and mental stuff, not at all. Just it was partly access, partly just the people, honestly, who were involved in the counseling. From my perspective, they just didn't seem very interested in what they were doing.
It is very hard to find a good counselor.
Yeah, counseling is a hard thing, very hard. So anyway, and I was prescribed Zoloft, but I took it for a little bit. It's hard to tell whether something like that takes effect. But one thing I didn't like was the thought of taking an SSRI because of what it does to your ability, for serotonin update subsequently. In other words, I didn't want to be in a position where I couldn't generate my own happiness, where I was relying on chemicals. Okay, yeah. to do that.
I felt the same way when I went through my trauma treatment. I said, that was the first thing I said to my psychiatrist is I want to figure out how to process my trauma without medication.
Yeah.
Because
now, yeah, exactly. And alcohol is a very negative way to do that too.
It is.
And I actually, I don't drink now, but it's not, there was never kind of an opening. Oh my goodness, you're drinking way too much. It was just, I stopped liking the way what alcohol was doing to me. I didn't even like being relaxed. I didn't like numbing my brain. But my point, anyway, getting back to SSRIs. So yes, Richie, I'm going to come to an end soon. Actually, he's dreaming now. That's really sad.
Oh, is that the yeah? Yeah, my dog does that too when she's dreaming.
I'm not joking, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so bottom line is this: I did try cannabis in at the recommendation of another vet. Okay, this sounds like one Marine saying to another, but in a state where it was perfectly legal, microdosing, and it provided some relief. It's strange enough because you think back to high school, you think of dopers as being the dudes who are like, who's the guy Sean Penn plays in
Oh
Fast?
yeah. From Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I forget his name, but
Spinelli or something.
yeah,
Yeah,
Spitnell.
that's who I think of, right?
Right.
But actually, small microdoses helped me really just focus on what I was doing, help elevate my mood. It's not a magic. I'm not espousing cannabis here. I'm just saying it helped. I can only say what helped me for a period of time. I made that comment on the podcast, right? Team Hat, and I'm making it again here because it helped me, right? In a city, in a place where that has seen at least 2 colonels take their lives, one right outside the VA. Okay. Here's a third colonel saying, I'm not doing that, but this helped me. All right.
Right.
Very uncolonel like. I got a call from a company that I had worked for consulting. There's government contracts, basically calling me over, saying my security clearance was at risk, blah, blah, blah. I had to write statements and I wasn't going to lie in those statements. I said, yeah, I did. Like I said, I still don't know where my security clearance stands on that. It makes me think all the times that we tell people,
Go
hey,
get help.
security clearance won't cover, get help. Bullshit. Bullshit. And so we talk.
I agree.
It
wasn't until I was safe from retirement.
Veteran suicide is a big problem. We need to solve it. And yet, this one company, which is a big company, major contract with the Marine Corps and several other DoD organizations, could in comfort cut me loose because I'd said that.
But what's funny, Andy, is at the same time, I hear from people like my friend Karen Holiday, who was basically put on the same kind of drug that Jordan Peterson was on. I forget what it's called, benzos, who was put on benzos on a deployment and ended up with an abnormally high dose. Again, I don't know the whole story. Don't know the investigation. I would like to have her on my show at some point. But the point being is that I don't think that it's consistent. I think that there are people who can seem to deploy and be on medications and be fine. And then there are other people like yourself who get some sort of question or something. And so it's not consistent.
Don't get me wrong. I am not undercutting medications at all. I'm just telling you that everyone's going to make their own decisions based on how they feel, what they, and that's what I did. I read, and SSRIs, you'll read a lot of positive things, how effective they are. That one part just concerned me. That's all. I could be 100% wrong. But I found something else that did help, I'm sure temporarily, but that's all I needed it for. And I don't think we should cut away or threaten people who do that.
I would agree.
I
would absolutely agree with you. And I think
it's illegal too, by the way, I believe.
I think the issue is the federal side is that I believe marijuana is still illegal on the federal side.
I know, but let's put this in context. Am I beating my wife? Am I?
Oh, I know.
Am I?
I'm not arguing that.
Meanwhile, on Discord,
right.
Yeah. So
I'm not arguing with you on that point, Andy. And I think that as we mature as a military, I believe we will have no choice but to be much more accepting and much more embracing of people's mental health. That's one of the reasons I'm posting now about my journey with EMDR and all the things that's bringing up. It's an amazing treatment for me. It's working really well to help me reframe and sort of see some of my past experiences and trauma in a different light and a different perspective. Yeah. And I think people need to do that, because when you get that opportunity to share your story, even with a counselor, and get it out, and then talk about it and start to see different sides to it. That's kind of what EMDR does. It puts you in this very relaxed state where you're almost feeling like you're hypnotized. You got to be with the right person and be very trusting about it. But it makes you just process things. And I've never experienced anything like it. And so I would hate to think that me doing this and getting all these diagnoses would one day prevent me from, if I wanted to keep on going in the military, prevent me from going to another hard shit kicker job. I mean, to me, it just goes against the whole purposes of getting the treatment.
Because all we're trying to do, we're not looking for a cure. We're looking for, you worded it very well, something that allows us to reframe, gives us a different perspective, an interrupter to our previous chain of thoughts or our mode of thinking.
Absolutely, because I go down these rabbit holes of where I interpreted things that happened in the past, and then I can hold on to that resentment. And then to talk to somebody who is able to bring out in me other ways of seeing this and going, wait a minute, and kind of questioning how I might have experienced these things, and then giving the things that were bad their due credit and being validated for that. It's something that's just an amazing experience.
100%, Teresa. I couldn't agree with you more.
Well, this has been such a pleasure, Andy. We went way over the hour time frame. I think we're at an hour 36 right now, but I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Please remind my audience once again where they can find you.
Yeah, cool. I'm on LinkedIn. I think if you just Google my name, you'll find me on LinkedIn. I'm at Twitter at Andy Milburn 8, Andy Milburn 8, all one word. And I am on Substack. It's A Milburn, but I'll send you the link, Teresa, if you wouldn't mind getting that out, because I may have that wrong. So please do, please do follow me. Also, Instagram. I publish. This isn't desperation. No, I put articles up there or links on Insta too. Plus some really cool photos of my dog.
Well, that's even better. I occasionally try to get on Instagram. I get on there, but I don't get on there enough because it's such a visual medium and it's so hard to feed. But it is definitely good to have a few places where people can find you. So thank you so much. I will meet you backstage. Anything else you want to add before you get off?
Yeah. So the last thing is I have talked to audiences of midshipmen, of officers, all services, just observations that are made in Ukraine. I don't make, comments about support or anything, at high level. It's just really about war fighting, future war fighting, but also some things that we've talked about. I do so without charging, of course, unless there's travel involved, in which case I just ask to be compensated for that. And I'm delighted to do so. So if you are a military leader at any level, looking for, I hate to use the term PME, but a source of a PME, I would be delighted to do that. I love doing that. I love talking to military men and women, regardless of rank, because I love the discussions. And
your stories are wonderful. I listened to your VMI one this morning, and I loved how you didn't have any PowerPoint slides. You spoke from memory. It was great.
PowerPoint.
Yeah. So no, highly recommend you guys check them out. And yes, if you are in the academia world, I do think that Andy is a perfect fit for you. So, all right, I'm going to go on full screen and meet you backstage. We'll just chat real quick before I get off. But I want to thank everyone for joining me today. And I will be back with you guys, not next week, but I believe the week after. I've got a twofer. I've got Scott Mann. He has that play called Last Man Out. You might have heard of him. And I've got Captain Crozier, the Theodore Roosevelt commanding officer. So I have them both the same week. I believe it's in mid-July. So awesome. Hope to, yeah. Oh, I know, Andy. I cannot wait to have them on. They, both of them are just such amazing professionals. So great way to kick off season 2. And I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your evening. And I will talk to you all later. Bye now.